Hello, Lauren here. Today we're going to do a self-counseling session. I recommend if you feel anxious, stressed, or you have a problem to unpack, that you seek professional face-to-face counseling. That aside, in this situation, we'll look at some strategies to self-counsel, to work through life issues that you may have. Before we start, create a comfortable position, either seated or lying down, and we'll look at some questions and explore some questions that may help you unpack your life. Through life, we walk the precarious line, the fragile line between our ego, our animal self, our social self, where we feel compelled to belong, to be a member of the group, and then our conscious self, our true self, our authentic self, that self that is separate from the madding crowds, from the mob, from the group. In order to live and to thrive, both parts of self are important. To honor the group self, the belonging self, the needing self, the attached self, and to feed and nurture the individual self, the wise self, the independent self, the conscious, aware self. We walk the two roads at the same time. The carnival of life. You may want to bring a pad or just remember this, contemplate this, download this video. Take a moment to breathe, come into this present moment and contemplate. Be mindful that you can also book a counselling session with me through the app Simply Book Me and looking up my name. Let's take a moment and consider the strategy, the supportive therapy of counselling self. You counselling yourself. In order to counsel self, it's imperative that we sit in silence. Ruminating or active thinking is about solving a problem. In order to know thyself, in order to know your true self, silence is the doorway to enlightened thinking, to resolving. First question, what are your values and how can you align your actions with your values? When we sit in silence and consider, what are my values? What are your values? What are values, beliefs, policies, ideals that we live by? They may be values of family, values of fidelity, values of friendship, values of community. What actions align with these values? What actions align with your belief of family, your belief of fidelity? What does fidelity look like? If you were a detective, if you were a judge in a courtroom, how would you evidence what family is, what fidelity is, what commitment is? What are your values? I suggest you write down 4 to 6 values and then the actions which evidence that you are living by these values. When we have the social self, we can lose ourselves from our true values because of our need to please the group. There's nothing wrong with pleasing the group, but there may be times when we are swept up with the group and our need to belong, and we may forget our values and how to be true to our values. So sit and think. Accept we need to be part of the group biologically, socially, in order to survive. We need to be true to ourselves. What is the conduit between that? What is the space between that? Are you honoring your values, and what actions do you take to evidence those values, to be true to those values? Second question, what are your short-term and long-term goals? And what steps do you take to achieve them? In order to feel good about ourselves, in order to feel a sense of satisfaction, achievement, we set micro, small goals and macro, large goals. This is a conversation that requires a devoted piece of content. That aside, when we set goals, we are looking to the future. We are wishing, we are intending, we are willing, we are looking towards the future. This can be inspiring. This can be gratifying. However, this takes us away from the ability to be happy now. Happiness only comes from the now. Goals come from the future. Being happy doesn't mean we negate our goals, doesn't mean we throw them out, baby out with the water. We understand that goal setting is inspiring, motivating, but takes us away from the present moment. We need both. The present moment builds wisdom. Goal setting is exciting, is motivating, gives a sense of purpose. If we focus on goals and negate the present moment, we negate our possibility for happiness, for self-reflection, for getting to know our true self. Balance. What are your micro goals? What are your macro goals? 3, are there any habits or behaviors that are holding you back from reaching your full potential? How can you address them? Are there any habits or behaviors that are holding you back and preventing you from reaching your potential? You may want to brainstorm either on a piece of paper or some butcher paper, white paper, what behaviors or habits may be holding you back, and look at them consequentially. Take one habit, one behavior. It could be anything. It could be drinking alcohol, possibly. It could be not giving your full potential at work, or not setting time aside for your relationship. And think about the domino effect. Where is that behavior going to consequentially lead? Where are you going to end up in a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, a year, if you continue this habit? Habits become us. We are no bigger than our behaviors and our habits. We age, our skin grows older. We are our habits and behaviors. Where are your habits leading you? Where are your behaviors leading you? We are inherently habitual as social animals. We develop habits that may not serve us. Let's unpack those habits and look through consequentially where they lead, where they are leading us. Who are we choosing to become? When we adopt a habit, we are choosing to become someone. Who is that someone? Is this someone who you truly want to be? Because who you are today is who you will become in 5 years. Is this the life you truly want? Sometimes we need to rip off the Band-Aid in order to heal. Is this time now? Is the choice you need to make? Is this today? Is this now? If you do not make the choice to change a habit, where will you eventually be? You will be a summary and evolving of what you do now, what you believe now. Sometimes we distract ourselves with a number of behaviors in order to deny what is occurring now. What are you distracting yourself with? Where will this distraction lead you? A distraction is a choice, is a habit, is a behavior. Does this distraction support, nurture your true self? Look down upon the distraction and make a decision. Will you continue this distraction now for a period of time, forever? How does this distraction add to your authentic self? I often suggest to my clients that they do a SWOT analysis, as you would in business. SWOT, SWOT, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Be brutally honest with yourself. What are your opportunities in your life that you may be embracing or may not be? What are the threats in your life? What are you doing about them? It is imperative that we develop a brutal, raw approach to self, to be able to say, look in the mirror and say, Lauren, this is what you do. Because you are doing this, because you've adopted this behavior, this habit, this is where your life will lead. This is where you will eventuate. This is who you become. The stoic ability to call a spade a spade. And when we call a spade, we have the opportunity for happiness, peace, or a step towards that. Question 4, am I taking care of my physical and mental well-being? What self-care practices can I incorporate into my routine? Every single day. What are you doing for your mindful self, meditation, your mobility self, yoga, spirit, your cardio self, heart, vascular system, walking, etc., your strength, and your health? What do you do every single day? At times we can allow a day to pass us by, or a couple of days or longer, and say, I just need to do this before I do this. Be mindful. The habits you execute today is the soul, the person you become. Focus on your self-care. What does that look like? What is evidence of your self-care? What is self-care for you? 5, are my relationships supporting and nurturing me? How can I cultivate healthy and meaningful connections? Comes back to values. What is a healthy and meaningful connection? What does that look like? You could spend time unpacking, exploring what is a healthy and meaningful connection. A healthy and meaningful connection contributes to a sense of self, contributes to a communal self, supports the community, aids sustainability of the globe in some shape or form, aids a feeling of sanctity, sacred self, peace. Look at your relationships. Do they add to your sense of self? Does your behavior add to the people in your relationships, in your community? Do you add to their sense of self? Do people feel peaceful in your relationships? Do you feel peaceful? There may be times in relationships that we do not feel peace. Through adversity, death, loss, these can be episodic episodes in our life. If adversity becomes more than an episode, more than a point in time where we work through that, then it is time for us to be mindful of our 3 choices: withdraw, change, accept. When we suffer or work through difficulty, we have the clear choice to accept it or to change it, or to withdraw from it. This is stoic. What do we choose to do? When we cycle or repeat a destructive pattern, no matter if it is another person involved, we are choosing that. To change choice takes time and skill, but it does not negate the fact that we have a choice. We have a choice in the relationships we involve ourselves in. Let us choose to involve yourself in meaningful relationships. Meaningful relationships are a skill. They take time, they take repetition, they take practice. Resilience means that we apply ourselves rather than running away or escaping. There are times to leave relationships. This requires unpacking and consideration. We unpack, we consider, we are careful to watch rumination, and we are careful to watch cycling, which is the repetition of a problem. If a problem continues to repeat, we have three choices: withdraw, a change, accept. That's it. We have a role to play in any relationship which is destructive or constructive. This involves skill and practice. Number 6, can I make a positive impact in my community or the world around me? A positive impact is often just a matter of a 1% pay it forward. What is one small thing you can do to change your neighborhood, to change the community in your street, and your immediate family, in your friendship group, in your class, in your study group? What's one thing you can do per day, per week? What suits you right now? Part of our role in life, part of our ability to feel pleasure, satisfaction, comes from serving the community, being of service. What do we do? What do you do to be of service? Why are we of service to others? We are of service to others in order to be peaceful, to feel peace, and in order to serve life, to honor life, the gift of life. We've been given the gift of life in order to promote the cycle of life, support the cycle of life, continue the cycle of life in a sustainable and compassionate way. What fears or limiting beliefs are holding me back, and how can I overcome them? We feel fear instinctively. It serves a purpose to protect us, to keep us alive. Fear comes from our social self, our need to belong, our need to be part of a group, our need to attach. Fear stops us from taking any action which may threaten our existence. If we don't take any action which is out of the box, which takes us out of our comfort zone, which holds a level of risk, we will never, ever know what we can become. We will never, ever know the amazing person that we truly are without taking risk. I'm not saying to take unreasonable risk or thoughtless risk. There is no growth without risk. A child does not learn to go from crawling to walking without falling. Any skill is developed through the action of crawling to walking with falling. Any success involves crawling to walking with falling. Any goal achievement requires the process of learning, crawling to walking, falling. Each success requires a number of falls. Falls can allow us to fall forward in our journey. These are some questions you can ask yourself quietly. Be mindful that if you have any issues involving anxiety or depression, seek professional help. That aside, journaling each day, unpacking the questions of life quietly with a focus on resilience, stoicism, going beyond your comfort zone in a reasonable way, reaching out to others, working towards balance in relationships, seeing the precarious balance between attachment and detachment, seeing the worth in both. You can do this. You can work through the adversity in your life, the episodic stress. You can look down upon yourself and observe who you truly are and who you can become. Be mindful that you can book a one-on-one counselling session with me. That aside, write down these questions. Sit in the sun and consider them. Lie on the couch with a comfy rug wrapped around you. Take a moment to consider, because you are worth it.